Garami is a really efficient arm lock, and we're doing just the upward direction, okay? Again, there are a lot of ways to get them in here. We're just showing the basics. Okay, so what I'm going to do here, I'm going to attack this arm on Eric here. Okay, a good way to start is from a side position. You can start from a top position like in a tate shiho or a mount position, but I'm just going to start here from the side because I can get more crank here, and it helps you learn the basics of it better. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to attack this arm. My elbow is really important. There are several key things that are going to be happening here. I'll point them out. The first one is the elbow in his neck, and this provides really a base. Okay, an anchor to provide it in here, okay? If I just try to put my arm anywhere, I want to have this elbow in here tight, okay? Another really important thing is I want to control his wrist and control his elbow, and by doing so, control the shoulder, okay? Because this is an elbow lock and very much a shoulder lock as well, okay? So you're going to be placing pressure on both the elbow and shoulder. Technically, it's an elbow lock, but you'll feel it in your shoulder as well, guys. Okay, so we're putting this elbow here, and I'm grabbing his wrist. And the other key feature is when I grab his wrist, I like to get his wrist here. I like to hook it, okay? Because that way I've got a good control of it. Now, some guys will grab this way, that's fine. But if he's got a slick arm in a no-gi situation, I might lose it too quick. So if I meat hook it like this, or actually hook it like this, with my thumb and fingers like that, I can catch it better. Okay, I'm just going to grab it right there at that point. See that? Okay, if you had a gi on, I'd be grabbing that. But there we've got that. Okay, here and here. Okay. Now, what I'm going to do with this hand, I'm going to slide it under. And when I do, I slide under and I grab my own wrist. So you see kind of a figure four situation here. Does everybody see that? Okay. Now, this is the basic configuration. Now, you can either grab your wrist like this, or you can meat hook it like this. I didn't do this because I can lever up better. Okay. That just works for me. What's best for you. Okay, so here, slide in here, catch it. Okay, now, you can keep, a lot of people teach it where they keep the wrist on the mat. I like to lift it up slightly. And see, it's always starting to hurt it by doing that, okay? So, you can do that, it works if you keep the wrist on the mat. But I like to lift it up, and as I do, I like to pull it in. Here's another key feature. I like to pull in on his wrist. Don't just leave it there. When I'm doing this, I like to crank it inward. See how I'm pulling in? And I'm driving my elbow into his head, into his neck, and I'm cranking up like this. So we're applying pressure here at this joint. We're applying a lot of pressure here at this joint. Okay? Now, when I'm actually applying it, we're working here and we're fighting here, I want to trap this, but before I really try to do a whole lot of stuff here, when I get my elbow, I want to try to slide this arm under if I can first. If I can slide this arm under him, when I'm actually applying it, we're working here, I'm working it, and I want to get under here if I can first, and then I'll put it over. See how I'm doing this here? And I try this, and it does, he knows what's coming. He knows there's an arm lock coming. So if we're working here, and I kind of get my arm under it first here, and apply it over like that, see how it lays it? Just right over it like it's a track, okay? And I put it there, elbow in the side, and I can crank it up like that, and there we have it. That's the basic configuration, okay? I'm going to show you, at this point, I'm going to show you two other configurations you might like from that basic way, okay? Here's another configuration that when you're grabbing here, and you might get a little more torque, instead of grabbing here, you might actually make a fist here. Like this. See how, like hammer down fist and crank up. And it doesn't take much of a pull to do that. You just lift there. It's very, very mechanically very sound. So I do this here. Can you see that? Make a fist there. Now, this, I grab this and I've got a good handle here, and that's really a good one. But if that's not working, if you want to add a little more pressure, you can do this and crank it up even more. See how I'm doing that? And it's really starting to hurt right away, okay? Okay, another variation is if I grab both hands like this and I crank it out. I can crank it out like that. Not as efficient as this, not as efficient as this. But these are some ways to get into your Garami, okay?